like we first approached Matthew for the soundtrack for the film itself, because it's set in a London council estate, in a near future London council estate, and we were looking for a sound that connected with that kind of gritty urban context. And Matthew's work kind of connects to this whole legacy of kind of British electronic music and trip hop that comes out of those contexts up north. But we didn't want to go back to those old guys that are doing that music. We wanted to look for a imagining of that sound and a freshening up of that sound. And really, we couldn't think of anyone better that's doing that right now than Matthew. So it's like a fresh, really urban, I think uniquely British sound that connects with our British near future that we depict in the film. Yeah. So we sent I think we connected through Anne Festival, right? It was just a love letter sent out by email saying, hey, let's do this thing. Yeah.
I'd seen Liam's work before he got in contact with me, so I'd been aware of the kind of stuff that he does, and the project really interested me because a lot of the things that I do and a lot of the visuals that I do normally reference kind of ancient things, and it's generally not future-facing stuff. So to work with Liam gave me the opportunity to kind of approach that in quite an exciting way, I think.
There's lots of common threads though, right? Like I think the work that we do, the films we make, are all interested in the subcultures that emerge around new technologies, right? And those subcultures have tribal tendencies that they've grown up from, a whole history of the way that people relate to new developments, whether it's the stone, the sphere, fire, drones, smartphones, driverless taxis. These things all generate cultural responses and new forms of agency and social relationships. So the future films we're talking about also sit within this lineage of the way that people form cultures and tribes and subcultures around these new technological developments. So I think there's a lineage there that all the work connects to. There's this great quote by the science fiction author William Gibson. When he talks about technology, he says the street finds its own uses for things, right? And really that's what all of these stories are about. They're about the way that at point technology becomes democratized, it gets soaked up and taken up by people and misused in ways that it wasn't intended. And that's the most exciting point that technology can be at. And I think drones are just at that point, right? They've moved from just being purely an apparatus of the military to now being something you can buy for $300 and give to your kid sitting under the Christmas tree on Christmas morning. And that's the sweet spot where it just becomes accessible, but it's still so new that we haven't figured out yet how to regulate it or what to do with it. And it means that people are just inventing shit and just doing crazy things with this tech, trying to figure out what it means. Yeah, it's somewhere in between, right? Like the box cutter is an extraordinary piece of technology that can open boxes. You can also use it to hijack a plane and crash them into the World Trade Centers, right? Like technology is never going to be a solution to the world's problems. All it really does is exaggerate the contradictions that already exist in ourselves, right? It makes us more wondrous and amazing and more determined to do harm and horrors to each other at the same time, right? I mean, I think a whole lot of the rules around technology are built on kind of unspoken systems of trust. And we were talking about this idea that we put tremendous faith in technology companies right now, rightly or wrongly. We let these companies manage our cities. We let them deliver products to us that we live most of our lives through. We let them manage the public forums through which we interact. Public space used to be a function of governance, urban planning, publicly elected officials. Now public space is a function of Facebook, and it censors and decides what images we can post, what swear words we can use, the things we can say, and the things that get said back to us, and what hierarchy they appear in. And that's pretty scary because no one publicly elected Facebook. They're only beholden to shareholders, not some greater public good. And that relationship to shareholders runs all the way through technology. So we've outsourced the things that we used to elect as a democracy to private institutions and corporations, and they now manage systems, right? So we trust them that they don't share our information, our location. We trust them that they keep our files safe, and all of our histories that are online, we trust that they protect them in the right way. And that's an extraordinary system that all of modern culture is now built upon, right? And for the most part, we just put ourselves out there. We put all that information out there anyway, you know what I mean? Like, we're extraordinary sharers, I think, and these mediums of technology allow that to be possible somehow, you know? Like, I mean, I'm sure there are deep, dark secrets that I keep to myself, but if someone really wanted to know them, I reckon they could find out. They could scour my internet history, my Wi-Fi logins, get into my phone accounts, and kind of piece together a pretty accurate version of me. And that's scary if you think about it. Like, to what extent someone would bother to do that? I don't know, I'm not that interesting. I don't know. I mean, yeah, but it's just amazing how much we put of ourselves out there online. Like, we were just, Matthew and I were just talking before that you were sharing some of your new record on WhatsApp, and you're getting like hundreds and hundreds of messages from people that are pretty personal, right? And the network certainly has collapsed versions of privacy, and is predicated on this strange system of trust that we're talking about, but it also allows an extraordinary connectivity and an intimacy with which we can connect to people in ways that we never were able to before, right? Yeah, and you got really intimate with
yeah, it was pretty surprising. I never really expected that level of, you know, I think with channels like WhatsApp, people are using it all day to talk to their loved ones, and so to have a connection with someone whose art you like makes it super intimate and super, I don't know. Yeah, I was very surprised at the response that people would just text out of the blue quite deep things about what the music meant to them, or how they listen to the music, what space it has in their life. And it was quite a lot to take on, but then I realised, well, that's just the way people use those channels. Because, you know, probably the text message before they sent it to me was talking to their boyfriend or girlfriend, and it's kind of no different. So yeah, it was really, really interesting and a little bit terrifying as well. I'm excited to be part of a festival like this. I think it's really well programmed, and looking around the installations before, they all fit together so well and make so much sense together. And I'm glad we could be a part of it.
Yeah. You wanted to talk about natural resources?
After watching the film.
Okay, yeah.
Just the lithium pools, like
they were great.
I've seen anything like this before.
Yeah, it's pretty extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, no one has. It's the first drone footage. It's, well, and because, like, from ground level, these lithium pools are totally flat. You just see this kind of wall of white. So the only way you could see them previously is from Google Earth, and this, we were the first people to fly drones over them. So it's really the first footage like that the world has ever seen of these landscapes, which are actually so fundamental to our contemporary existence, right? Single thing that's sitting on this table or in your pocket or in your bag is powered by lithium batteries. It's the reason why that camera can be so light. The drone can be light enough to fly, a laptop can be this thin, a phone can be thick enough to slide into my pocket, yet hold 30 gigabytes of music, right? And it's a totally invisible landscape up until the point where you're able to fly a drone over the top of it and look down on it. And that's pretty extraordinary, that there's something so fundamental to our lives that we just have no idea about, right? That's never happened before, in a way. So, and part of what our project has been is to travel to these sacrificial landscapes, these extraordinary territories which are totally screwed over in the service of the mechanisms of consumption in a city like this one or London where we're from. So yeah, it was important to get out there and get the drone in the air, because it's, I mean, technology is no longer just a single object that you put on a table, right? Like all of these devices and objects that rule our lives are part of this extraordinary network of landscapes. And to think about the phone in your pocket, you need to think about a landscape like the lithium pools, which is fundamental to produce it, right? So we kind of hold a little piece of that landscape from Bolivia and Chile in our pockets. And if you think about it like that, then you start to question whether or not the phone is an object that we should throw away as soon as our contract ends and buy the new one. These landscapes are so precious. The lithium pools are cut out of the Sala de Uyuni, which is the world's largest salt flat, which is the largest, flattest expanse on the entire planet. It's the most extraordinary territory, and basically to fulfill the dreams of our electric future, electric cars, driverless cars, Elon Musk's house batteries and solar rooftops, you basically need to mine that entire landscape, right? And we're setting out to do so. So, we need to be considering these landscapes when we start to consider these futures of technology. That's why we go out there. Yeah, I mean, there's another sacrificial territory, which is the bodies that are out there mining this stuff. For the most part, though, we're getting very good at building machines to do it for us, right? A lot of these landscapes are almost totally autonomous, like the mines in Australia that we visit, where the gold for electronics and gold-plated headphone jacks and gold in circuit boards comes from. A lot of these mega mining machines are now totally robotic and autonomous now, which is super interesting. So we've kind of found ways to outsource ourselves from this process. And now the humans that are in this supply chain are pretty much just kind of parts of the machine. The body has been repurposed as a robot in this planetary scaled conveyor belt that brings goods from a hole in the ground all the way through to the Apple shop in Oxford Street in London. So to talk about these people in the supply chain as humans is kind of giving the system too much credit. They're just parts of the machine in the same way a crane or a dump truck is, and that's kind of scary, but that's the reality that we see.